So welcome everybody to another CTC software webinar. My name is Tony Crick. I'm the Civil Product Manager here at CTC. Today we're going to talk about ClashSeeker from the SIM project suite. As always, we encourage you to ask questions throughout the webinar using the questions panel. I will try to answer them as we go along, and I will cover any remaining questions or in-depth questions at the end. So please enter them in the questions panel and we'll get to them as we can. And as always, this is being recorded and will be updated to our YouTube channel where you'll be available for your review at any time. So today we're talking about ClashSeeker, one of our newer tools. So as part of the SIM project suite of tools, it's intended for the everyday Civil 3D user creating design and production drawings. Works in the last 4 versions of Civil 3D back to version 2020 currently. We will drop 2020 support for version 2020 when Civil 3D 2025 comes out sometime in March. So clash detection has been a popular topic over the years, but the civil industry was sort of left out for a while. There's a new clash feature, interference checker in Civil 3D now, but it's limited and still needs some work. We can find those potential problems before they become real problems with ClashSeeker. We'll see how this app can get Civil World caught up in clash detection seminar. So some of the things we're going to see today is what's new. We're going to see how to use our tool. We'll take a look at the user interface. We'll make some clash sets, not ets, and reports. Then we'll learn where to resolve or accept those interferences. So why ClashSeeker? It's more robust than the native tools. There's what I feel is a comfortable interface. Virtually no learning curve because it is so self-explanatory. We can find and compare almost anything. That way we can identify potential issues before they get in the field. We can generate reports and review the status of them. That way we can know if the clashes are up to date, and then we can set points within the drawing with chosen information. And we use the styles you already have in your drawing. Nothing that we have at CTC is proprietary. It draws completely upon your styles and settings in Civil 3D. And then we can generate Excel spreadsheets. We can save your settings as templates for redundant reports and easily find the instance with the Zoom tool. So with that, let's look at a couple of clashes within our drawings. Okay, so right here we have a very simple layout for this demonstration purpose. We have a sanitary and a storm down here. We have these networks in here. We have the way we would do it with gravity, turn water into a gravity network. And now with the advances of pressure pipe networks, we have built support into Civil 3D for that. So how would we do it the old way? We draw our networks. We might grab some of these parts that we see crossing right here. We might look at them with the object viewer. And we can see that there's something going on, but we don't know how far apart they are. We don't know exactly what's going on there. So the other way to do it is what? Create a section drawing like we have here and start sliding it along. Take a look at where these things might be hitting. But again, we can see here on the right, we don't really know the difference between these two right here, for example, this sanitary and this storm right here. We certainly probably want some more clearance there, but we really don't know what we have right now. So how would we do that? Well, we'd probably put some labels on there. We'd have to do spend a lot of time trying to find those. With Clash Seeker, we can find those very quickly, very easily. So let's start out, let's find a couple of those. So mainly this is being used to find those types of interferences between our gravity networks. So Clash Seeker is up here in our general area tab. It has a couple of different functions. We can update our Clash points. We can update our Clash tables. And we can do the first Clash Seeker. So we're going to focus on just the clashes today. So here's the interface we get. I'm going to delete these so we can start from scratch, show you how that works. So here's the interface you will get right off the bat. We have our options pane right here. This tells us where our template is going to go. Typically, you would probably save those to a network location, somewhere where you can get at them easily and share them. And we have our export settings. This is telling us what we want to export. We can choose all, we can choose whatever we want. Right there, you'll see they drop off the list. And this will show up in our export report. Then we have our Kogel point settings. And these are coming right from your tool space. We don't have anything proprietary, as I mentioned before. All of our label styles, everything you've created in your drawing. I'm going to set it to this one. Then we have the option, do we want to capitalize everything? Do we want to have none? Your choice on that. And then the layer we want these things to go on. And our orientation as well, how we want those points to land. So it's going to create regular Kogel points that you can then export and manipulate. And we have suffix and prefix if you want to add that to it as well. So I'll say OK right there. And over here, here's how we create a clash set. So we'll create a clash set right there very easily. Click the button and then we give it our name. And I'm going to do sanitary to storm. And then we have to collect or select our sources. As I said, this is very simple, easy to use. Here are all the choices that we have right out of the gate. And some of these choices will go away when we make our choices, depending on what we're comparing it to. So right now, let's do our networks. So I'm going to do pipe networks. This is our new feature, pressure networks, which I don't have in this drawing, but we can sure do those too. So here's a pipe network. And we're going to compare the two pipe networks. So here's where we pick where our pipe network is. And we can do it one of two ways, actually three ways. So we can do it this way. So we can do the whole network. We can do parts of the network. Like clear that out. We can pick just these right here that we think might have an issue. Let me remove that one, so that's a separate one. So we can do it that way too. Let's do the whole network today. So I'm going to do the sanitary We see we get 15 objects it picked. Double check we had it. And then again, you see some of these dropped off the list now. What can we compare our pipe networks to? We can compare it to blocks, other networks, Kogel points, survey points, solid surfaces, and pressure networks as well. So let's go ahead and pick the pressure network here. Or I mean our storm. Let me grab it right here. So that's the whole network, 13 objects. Say OK. Then we want to set our buffer. Do we want to include proximity clashes, or do we want it to be only hard clashes? So we have our little tooltip right here that tells you what this does. Let's first do it with just hard clashes. So I'm going to say OK right here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give this a different name. And I'm going to call it just hard. Oops. Call it hard. So we're looking for only the places where the pipes actually hit. So we get our status right here that it's never been run. Then over here, we could save that out if we wanted to and pull this in for use on other projects so we don't have to go through all this setup. Most of your drawings, I'm sure, are going to be very similar. So you can use these as templates, and I'll show you that in a second here. So I'm going to hit run. And this does take a minute or two to do. It's doing a lot of work in the background. We have our status down here that's telling us it's preparing. So now it's ready. It found one, and it found between pipe 28 and pipe 1, our clash set, our sanitary to storm. It's a hard clash. And this, our status right here tells us it's new. So we can look at it here, and then we can update it and let everybody know that we looked at it, we reviewed it. Is it still active? Did we approve it? Has it been resolved? So I'm just going to leave it at new right now. But we said, where is it? We don't know where it is. I can hit the highlight button right here. And it's going to highlight where it is, but we can't see it. So let me zoom to it. So it's right here, and you see this pipe is highlighted. So let me close that and zoom out a little bit. So we're right here. It crossed right here. We see that it crossed our storm pipe. It actually hit our storm pipe. So let me drag my section viewer over here. And we'll see that in our section as well. So if I want to drag this all around and look for stuff, if I put it right there, I can clearly see, yeah, that hit right there. So that's pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. We see that. But what if we needed to see if there's any clearance, or if we're violating clearance like we were over here? So this one right here where we started, we can see it's close, but we don't know how close it is. So let me just zoom in on that a little bit. Let's open Clash Seeker back up. And I said we can save these out as templates. So again, I showed you right here the path that it goes to. This is the default path that you will get with the product. So I did not change that. So when I open this up, as I saved one earlier, I guess I didn't save it earlier. That's fine. I saved some other ones. So I'll show you that in a different drawing. So all we have to do is make another one. And maybe our municipality says we can't have our storm and our sanitary within a certain distance. I'll call this prox. So I'm going to include prox. I have my cap locks on. I'm not used to that. I'm going to include prox in this one, so proximity clashes. So we'll do the same thing. Go grab it. And I could have copied that one. Could have saved it out and brought it back in. So I didn't have to do all this setup, but it's really not that, doesn't take that long. So I'll do the whole network again. Do the storm. Okay. I'll verify that. Sanitary, yes. So here we want to set a buffer. So like I said, maybe the municipality or watershed rules, what have you, have certain buffers they need to be at before we have to start putting casings in, stuff like that, or make a change to it. So let's just call it 5 feet. I know that's probably a lot further away than is typical. Let's just call it 5 feet. So again, it says never. We created a new one. So let me hit run. So it's doing the same thing. And in the background, what it's doing is it's searching for, or it's creating solids out of these and it's comparing. So it's doing a lot of background work. All of the really hard work that you don't have to do. And I sure expected it to find more than that. Let's try it again. Maybe I didn't mess this network up as badly as I thought I did. Anytime you make a change, you're going to see that it's never. So I guess I was just outside of 5. So here's what we get. We get the same where we hit before. And so we're 5 or 5. So this is probably good to go other than this hard one. So we can say if it's 3.5, we can go ahead and we can approve all these. Let's just approve them. As we looked at them, we say they're good. They don't violate any of our standards other than, of course, this one. So then we can create a table in the drawing to see it too. I'm going to do that first. So it's pulling right from whatever tables you have in there. I'm going to just leave it at standard. I'm going to put all uppercase. Let's call this proximity clashes. Keep forgetting I have that proximity clashes. I did it again. And then what's going to show up in our table? So it's all this over here. Again, like I said, we can choose what we want. I'm going to leave them all checked here. Let me say okay. Let's go ahead and just dump in a table. Let's try it right there. So very small. I don't have that. I didn't create a table for it. I'm just showing you what this looks like. So here's our table right here. Let me scale that up so we can see it. So here's our headers that we talked about, and this is all, the way this looks is all governed by from your table settings right here. So you probably would have created another table that looks a lot better than this one. Just to show you, we have all this. So we have, now we see our status is approved, and we can keep track of our tables this way. So I'm going to go back to Clash Seeker, and let's export that to an Excel as well, see what that looks like. So I'm going to grab this proximity one again, and I'm going to go the same steps that we went through before. I clicked table, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. So I'm just going to call it that. Gives you the default name. Of course, you would name yours. So here we get our Excel report. So if you needed to put this into a drawing to show what we have, then you could just link this out, and every time you update it, when you or insert it as an OLE and you update it, it will update in your drawing as well. Works just like any Excel, nothing new, nothing proprietary, as I stated before. So that's pipe networks in a quick demonstration there. Let's go to a different drawing. Let's see what other things we can do, because it's more than just pipes. Like I said, it can compare a whole bunch of stuff. So what if we had a survey was done for this road? This has been all designed, but for argument's sake, let's just say these trees were shot. We know that we're going to reconstruct this road, and anything, say within 20 feet of the back of curbs, any of these trees, any of this stuff would want to be removed. So let's see where we have those issues. Get that one out of there. So here's where I talked about we have these templates created. Oops, I hit save, open. So I have this one here that I created. So if you did this every time, you could just load this template just like this. I have all my blocks. I selected it by layer. So I have, oops, I don't want these light poles in there. I'll do that in a separate one. So I'm going to refresh that. And that's, oh, I put the light pole one in there. Let me cancel that. And I realize I did that. So let me open the other one. Tree. So remove existing trees. And now I just blew that one because I accidentally saved over it. Yep. Don't do that. Let me get them out. Actually, I'm going to leave this one. I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch, I guess. Let's do that. So I think we called it remove existing tree. So in this case, I'm going to compare it to alignments. And I'm going to pick the alignment that I have by name in the drawing. So I'm going to go from this back of curb. So this is an offset alignment that's been created for this drawing. So that back of curb, and we'll go from this back of curb. So we have our two alignments. And now I'm going to do it by blocks. And I'm going to go grab those trees. By layer. So we'll grab that one. That's a different tree. So we got our conifers and our deciduous. We have 81 trees it's going to look at. So what would our buffer be? So I'm going to ignore Z in this case. So this pulls up a different selection set than our other pipes did. Like I said, there's different options depending on what the clashes are. So let's just say anything that's within 25 feet of the back of curb. So I run it, and that happened pretty quickly. So I found all of these trees. So if I zoom to one of them, it's here off the screen just a little bit. If I hit the highlight, it's going to show that tree right there. So let me close that and zoom a little further away. What it's doing is it's finding the midpoint between where this tree is and where this back of curb is. When I put my points on, you'll see that. It will give us the actual distance to that block, just like it does right here when we put the points on. So here we see what it is, and we could go through and we could zoom to every one of these if we wanted to, but it's a lot easier to find them if we put the points on there. So again, I'm going to leave everything on there. You saw I set this earlier in the options tab. So here's all our settings for it. And it's going to put a Kogo point now at every one of these instances. So it found 15 instances where the trees are closer than 25 feet to the back of curb. So when I do that, it's telling us this is that first one. Let's zoom to the second one. So it gives us our name, our clash set name. That all comes from how we have it set. And let me highlight that again. Let's go find one of these other ones. Let's zoom to this one. So that was 12. Here's 12 right here. So it's clash number 12. It's comparing timber path left, the lineup or the alignment, and our other source. It's looking for this deciduous tree, which it found, and it's telling us our distance is 19.55 feet, and the status of it is new. We haven't done anything. Let's just do a rough from there to there. We see our distance right there, roughly 19 feet. So that's how that works right there. And we can do it for any one of these. We can find if we want to see where our light poles are at as we loaded from the template. Oops. Accidentally hit Label Genie, another one of our very popular tools, which is where these labels came from, right from Label Genie. Pulled in there this existing wall right here to be removed. How long is it? Another one of our really popular time-saving tools. So since we already have this one, all of our settings are there. So it's finding these electric and any other points that have been dumped in there. I have a couple other points that I dumped in just to check. And so our alignments, it's the same thing. So we got our timber path, cancel out of that. And then we can just hit run because it's already been pulled in. So I don't have to do anything. I already have my buffer set to 15 feet in this case for those. I'm ignoring my Z. And here's all the instances for those. And again, we could do the same. Put the points in, export this to another Excel sheet. I'll just call it light poles Like pull a report, I'll save it, and we'll see the same thing that we have. Again, we can put that in as a table into our drawing if we so choose. So we said we're going to look at the UI, which we did. We made some clashes, which we did. Let's try another one. Let's do another. Actually, let me open that back up, and I'm going to save that out. I want to save this one. I want to put that back. So remove existing trees, save. So if I pull it in again, we'll get the exact same thing. So in this case, it doesn't come with the name. We have to rename it, but all of our settings are there. Our alignments are still there, and our blocks, our trees are still there. So you might have different names for your alignment, so you might have to go grab those, but we quickly and easily load these, and takes minimal work then to get them done. And if this is our standard buffer, that comes in it too. So I'm going to delete that. I'll show you one more thing. Oops. I'm going to close that. Let's go to one more. Let's go back to this one. I think I put some solids in here too to compare. So we also have this gas line running through. Let's say the survey crew went out and shot a gas line right here. We got our data from the gas company. We know roughly the depth of it. And we drew it in as a feature line as that depth, which I did here. This is another popular way to look at or to use Clash Seeker. So here's the elevation of our gas line right there, roughly 5 feet from our surface. Yes, 5 feet from our surface. So we can see, did our pipes even hit that? So it's running through this sanitary and this storm right here. Let's see if we have any interference. And we probably want to stay pretty clear of that. So if you got the survey data later, you did your design, or the gas company sent you their plans for relocating or installing this, we can see right away where that is going to be in relation to our pipe networks. So let's make another one. Let's call it gas to pipes. So in this case, I'm going to come here and I'm going to compare this feature line. I'm going to come and I'm going to grab it. I'm just going to grab it individual right here. It is on a layer, but I'm going to do it that way. If you do that and you want to check a whole bunch of them, you can do that as well. It's going to ignore your single selection and it's going to find every one of them. So it's on this survey line gas. I'll leave it at that. But again, you can do it piece by piece, however you want to do it. And this time I'm going to where'd my pipe networks go? Let's try this. So I guess we can't do that. My mistake. All right. Let's get another scenario in here. Let's do that feature line again, and In this case, let's say we wanted to do a soil boring. We had it located right there. So it's hanging on to that. Let's do it by that solid that's right there. I don't think that's a block. Okay, let's do something else. Let's do pipe networks to the solid. I really just want to show you how the solid works for that. So this is a solid right here. In fact, let's look at that. So I could check that feature line to this solid. I can check it to this water pipe right there. So what does that look like? Well, we see that water line hits it right there. Then I grab my feature line too. And we see our feature lines going right through there also. So let's compare it to that feature line. Let me grab that solid first. We could also compare it to the surface. I'm not going to do that today in the interest of time. When we compare our surfaces, it does take a little bit longer. I'll show you that in a second here. So it does take a little patience. It's doing a lot of work in the background to our pipe network. So not solid, we're doing solid to pipe. So pipe networks, I'm going to grab just these pieces right here, save a little time. Again, you could do this with the whole network. I just want to see where these are hitting on those. I'm going to include in proximities. Call it 5 again. And it was just that quick. So we know it's hitting one of these. So it's hitting that one right there. And they're highlighted, these two parts. So the solid, you can see in the background, is hitting in this pipe network. The others are clear. It's also close to this piece right here, but that one's okay. We don't care about that one. It's going to hit both. So in that case, I can click reviewed. And again, pump that out to a report if I need to. So I mentioned that it would take a little bit more time if we do anything to a surface. I'll do a solid to a surface. And I'll grab that solid again. And then the surface. And as I said, this will take a little bit of time. And so if I hit run right here, it's going to give me this warning right here. That's going to take some time to do. And I know that this is a fairly large surface, so I'm not going to let it go today, but it could take a minute or 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But that's kind of some blank time that I don't want to fill today. So I'm just showing you that we get this warning here, and we can say okay if we want to and let it go. So that's pretty much all I had to show you today. Just wanted to show you some of the uses for it. We will be doing some more in-depth Clash Seeker stuff down the road, but I think you kind of see what the capabilities of it are and some of the different ways you can use it out there. A lot of folks are using it strictly for utility kind of stuff and for pipes in particular. Probably our biggest points of interest as far as Clash Seeker goes. So with that, let me get back to the PowerPoint. Okay, that concludes our live demo portion. And again, it's part of our CTC SIM project suite of tools. We also have our SIM Manager suite of tools, and we are now at version 24.4 of our SIM tools that just got released yesterday. So if you have our tools, open any tool, click on the About, and if it doesn't say 24.4, go to the download and it will direct you to our website to get the latest and greatest. There are a few other improvements in there that I think you'll find very useful. Our release notes are also up on our website, so you can review those to see what we do. And so if you have it, go ahead and get it from there. If you don't have it, contact your local reseller or contact us here at ctcsoftware.com. And always, if you have any ideas or need any help and you're not going through a dealer, contact us through support, and we'll be happy to help you out. So with that, thank you again for taking the time out of your day to join us. And we will see you at our next webinar.